Hi guys! So today I'm going to be doing another book review, and today I wanted to discuss Hex Hall by Rachel Hawkins, which I just finished. This book is not very popular, not very talked about on BookTube. I've definitely seen a couple of people mention it and a couple of people talk about it, but it's not like a super huge thing that's talked about. So I wanted to do a review because I have wanted to read this book for months. It's been on my TBR probably since the early fall, and I actually won this copy in a giveaway from my good friend Eileen, who is Eileen Reads here on YouTube. So if you're watching this, Eileen, thank you so much again. I was really excited, and I finally read it, and actually Eileen was the one who first told me to read it to begin with, so that was really exciting. This is what the book looks like, and I'm gonna do a spoiler-free review like I always do, just because I hate spoilers. Unless it's a sequel, I usually do spoiler-free reviews. A little bit about the plot, some about the characters, whether I liked it or not. I have to say, I don't love these covers, but I don't not like them. I think that they're okay. What I really don't understand is why there's a black cat on here, because I know with witches and magic, black cats are, you know, a thing, but there is no black cat in this story. Sophie does not have a black cat. There is no black cat at all in the story, so I don't know what that's about. I mean, it kind of adds to the cover, I guess, but it has no relevance at all, so I thought that that was kind of funny. But what I really like about the covers are the spines. Like I said, this part is just kind of whatever to me, but I love the spines because I don't know if it's picking it up, but this is like the teal blue that matches the cover. And then like on the second one, which I have here, which is Demonglass, it's orange. So I think that they're going to look really neat once I get all of them on the cover. On my bookshelf together. So I like the spines. I think that they're simple, but they're kind of cool. They have like that kind of magic-y font. So a little bit about the plot, just a general summary for those of you who haven't read it yet. This book follows a 16-year-old girl named Sophie Mercer, and Sophie is just a normal girl in society. She goes to a regular high school and she lives with her mom. Her parents split when she was younger, so she's never met her dad, but she's a witch, so she can do magic and she can do spells. One day, she casts a spell at prom, backfires and goes completely wrong, and so she gets in trouble with this magic council who tells her she has to go to the reformatory school where they send kind of like rebellious supernatural people, or people like kids that don't follow the rules of like the magic laws, if you will. And so she's not really good at magic. She's been sentenced to go to this reformatory school, and she's not a very good witch because her mother's not a witch, her mom's just an ordinary person, and her dad's a warlock, which is the male equivalent of a witch, but she's never known her dad. Sophie only knows what her mother's kind of read in books and shared with her, so she doesn't really know much about being a witch. So she arrives at this school, which is called Hex Hall or Hex Hall, and she is completely surprised to see all of these other supernatural beings. So not only are there witches and warlocks, but there are werewolves, there are shapeshifters, there are vampires, and then there are even fairies with wings, which I thought was an interesting touch because I've read quite a few books that have at least vampires or werewolves in them, but I've never read anything with a fairy before. There are all these supernatural beings, and it becomes really evident that she is like in over her head with the magic. She's not a good witch compared to all of these other kids. When she gets to school, she's assigned a roommate, and her roommate's name is Jenna, and Jenna happens to be the only student vampire that is on campus. There is one other vampire who is a teacher, but she is the only student. Vampires are kind of outsiders. They're not really accepted by the witches and the warlocks and all the other supernatural people, and so Jenna's kind of an outcast. Nobody really likes her, and they think that she was responsible for the death of a girl that died the previous year. So Jenna's kind of an outsider, but Sophie is assigned to room with her. And then while Sophie's at school, she finds out a lot more about magic and kind of herself. There's a little bit to her character and kind of her family that she didn't know that she finds out. And then there is a love interest that kind of happens that's really good. It's like a general type of boarding school book, but it's got the whole kind of magic element to it. And then there are some catty girls, like, you know, the catty kind of mean girls. And then she, like I said, finds out a little bit more about her history and kind of what I feel like is going to define her and like her destiny in the later books. It has a little bit of a twist to it, but I'm not going to share that because that would be a spoiler. As far as overall my thoughts on the book, I really did enjoy the book, but it took me a little bit to get there. I was already hopeful that I would love it and like it, but when it first started, I wasn't, you know, super into it for the first few pages. I wasn't crazy about how the world was built at first. I thought it didn't seem very appealing, which I found out later is kind of part of like the school itself, like in the story. But I wasn't crazy about it at first. I wasn't as attached to Sophie's character early on as I was with some other characters in different books, but as the book went on, I started to really get into it. I started to kind of understand and just warm up to the world a little bit more, and I overall really enjoyed the book. So I did give it 4 out of 5 stars. I would have really enjoyed the book slightly more if it would have had a little bit more about the school and like the classes and just like small details to kind of help build the world up a little more. A little bit more detail on the classes and on the magic, but I feel like for this scenario, again, it wasn't relevant because they talk about in the story that the reform school classes are a joke and that only like the kids that go to the actual training schools learn like cool classes and cool spells and stuff. So I would have liked to see a little bit more of that. I think it would be cool if there was a series that was like about this world with that. I feel like I'm partially biased because it's really hard for me to read fantasy, especially magical stuff like this, because I'm just a huge Harry Potter fan. So it took me a little bit to get into something that was deviating from that type of magic and type of world, and so it took me a little bit to get into it and to get into Sophie's character. But once I probably got to, I guess, like 90, 95, page 90, 95, I started to really get into it and I flew through the book. Take me a little bit to warm up to it, but I did really enjoy it overall, and I loved it enough to go out and buy the next book the next day. So I would still highly recommend it. It just took me a little bit to get into it. Seeing on the ratings and things that the next two are rated higher, so I hope that those kind of add more depth to the story. On to the characters a little bit. Sophie's character is more of a sarcastic type of girl. She has really sarcastic jokes. Does have a small resemblance to me to Rose Hathaway. I was thinking about it as I was reading. I was just like, oh, she kind of reminds me of Rose in her nature. Not really like they have the same type of sarcasm, but she does have a little bit of feist to her. Maybe not as much as Rose Hathaway, but she does have a little bit of feist as a main character, kind of female role. I really liked the character of Archer, who is the love interest in the story, and Archer is that boy at school who is like the cool, kind of like really hot, popular guy that everyone wants to date and everyone likes. And of course he's dating like the really bitchy, catty, popular girl that nobody likes. And so I really liked his character. I feel like I would have liked to see a little bit more about him too, and a little bit more of the relationship stuff. But his character, I feel like, is really kind of like cool, chill, like, you know, all that good stuff. But he's also really smart, and I feel like he's got more depth to his character as well. I feel like he's not just some popular boy that everyone likes, but that he's, you know, like actually pretty smart, and he is a little bit different. I feel like he's popular, but not the stereotype of a popular guy, but he is. So I really liked his character. I would have liked to see more of him. And then another character that I really liked that I feel like was significant to the book is Jenna, who is the vampire that is Sophie's roommate. I love Jenna. Again, there wasn't a ton about her. I feel like the characters, I feel like there could have been more about the characters. There should have been more character definition, but I still really liked the characters. So Jenna is more of kind of, I want to say she's kind of spunky. She has a little bit of like a vulnerable aspect to her too, because she's the outsider. A lot of people, you know, blame her for killing this girl, which, you know, I don't know about that, but a lot of people blame her for that. They're mean to her, and I feel like she is kind of vulnerable at times because she is outcast. And it's a really light, fun, easy read. Like I said, there were some things that I would have liked to have a little bit more depth to. I feel like the story could have had a little bit better world as far as the initial building, and I feel like some of the characters I would like to see more of, but I don't know what the next two books entail. So they could really build that up and I'm really excited to see where the story goes. So I would highly recommend it. I think it's a really quick, fast read. That is all for today. I hope you guys are doing really well. Be sure to let me know what you thought about the book if you have read it, and whether you are going to read the next two, or if you haven't read it, let me know if you're going to read it, or if you think that it sounds like something you would read, because I would be really interested to know. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon. Bye!